Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With OpTic FormaL winning the Halo World Championship just this past weekend, does this now cement his status as the best, at least controller FPS player of all time? Dashy certainly seems to think so, and may well be somewhat inspired going into the upcoming season, starting very shortly. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Firstly, thought this is pretty funny that Tactical Academy pointed out. This is some old school MLG kind of tweet action. They used to do this thing called bitter Twitter, and honestly some of these tweets they would get would be pretty brutal, to be honest. I don't know if they'd be doing this nowadays, to be honest, but yeah, good stuff anyway from the CWL. They need to bring stuff like this back, in my opinion at least. Firstly, why are London not doing anything? That is my opinion at least, because PaulX again, time to move for the fourth time in a couple of years. I guess look, London were in previous seasons based out of North Carolina. Whether that continues, not sure, but yeah, still I guess PaulX is going to be moving there, because last year he was on New York. The year before that he was on London briefly, but probably not there in person. And of course, I guess when he was on the Wester team, probably that was West Coast based action. So yeah, I don't know why London aren't saying anything yet, but it's pretty much confirmed what the team's going to be. They just don't seem to want to tell us for some reason. So there could be reasons behind the scenes for that. And of course, in a couple of days the game actually comes out, and subliners are getting ready for it. There's going to be some good content, launch events, all this type of stuff that happens every single year. And of course the game starts very early on, so we actually have to, well, at least the season does. So we're going to have a good idea probably relatively quickly which teams are actually any good. Now, from this fantastic Twitter account right here has pointed this out. So this is, we saw this the other day, but just to kind of confirm in the game files themselves that the formerly known as Marina Bay Grand Prix Singapore Grand Prix track is now known as Crown Raceway. So clearly there was some sort of, copyright dispute. Whether they had to change anything on the map, like I'm at least just glad this map is actually going to be here, because Shotzzy and others played this and thought it was good. Maybe not spectacular, but compared to the other maps they played in the early alpha build quite a while ago now when they flew out to LA to playtest the game, this was the map that I think most pros would have said was the best. And yes, they probably played a couple of the other ones we saw in the beta. So that is the concern really. We have 11 maps. Some of them might just be taken from a ground war situation. And look, the map set in this game over time is going to be okay, because they're going to be able to bring back Terminal and these other maps as well that should be viable for competitive, and over time they will be adding more maps. They've got to for a 2-year cycle of the game, but for the launch time, like that's the question, because the season starts early, so we've got to have a decent map set at launch, because by the time they add the additional map sets in February, March, whatever, it's going to be still pretty late at that point in the season. By March time we're like halfway through the season already, so we don't really have any idea, I think, what the overview of this map looks like, or if anything's changed with regards to the layout. Hopefully not, but yeah, still it is at least a map in the game, which is a positive sign given what the pros kind of said about it. And also just to mention this real quick, because I did talk to you guys about this story a while ago, that 100 Thieves are working on their own game, right? Project X they're calling it, and playtests are kind of coming up soon with Kenny, Octane, and a large majority of the LA Thieves Call of Duty teams. So pretty interesting stuff. Of course, we've got Aches and stuff working on X Defiance, and there's this 100 Thieves game coming up pretty soon. So yeah, don't know, interesting to keep your eyes on, and Kenny was, I think, pretty excited to get involved in this. Of course, this past weekend, OpTic Halo won the Halo World Championship just on Sunday. Lucid, Tribby, FormaL, and APG. Incredible performance. They kind of did the back-to-back, to be honest, right? Because they did the Halo Super or whatever, which I think was online. Then a lot of the other pro teams are calling them onliners. Then they won Orlando, dominated it, and then they pretty much dominated the World Championship. Outside of that series, they lost to Cloud9 in the first series of the Grand Finals. A lot of discussion from you guys last night on what format is good or bad in terms of bracket resets and best of 9s and best of 7s, all this type of stuff. One positive I will say for Halo is that they don't mess around, like when you do a one map, they don't leave the stage to go to the toilet or whatever and have a bit of a commercial break. Like, they're straight back into game 2. So it's fast-paced and frenetic action, which I think can be good the majority of the time. So anyway, the CDL's got to think about that one. A good merge of what the CDL does and what Halo does, I think, would be good for everyone involved. But yeah, Halo, another World Championship ring for FormaL, 2017 on the left-hand side, 2022 on the right-hand side. Remarkable career that spanned pretty much a decade at this point, from winning Halo events way back in the day, coming to Call of Duty in 2014, really, and then dominating the scene from 2014, late 2014 onwards. Like, he was really, of all the players that transitioned from Halo to Call of Duty when that kind of discussion was happening way back in the day, we'll even look at Snipedown later today, and he tried to make the transition, but kind of failed, right? And, guys like FormaL and Enable, really only two of the guys that made that transition work. And it really didn't take FormaL that long to just take over over the COD scene. It was only a few events in on Envy at Gfinity 3 in London where he was like the best player in the world, and then immediately the OpTic team was like, hang on a second, this FormaL guy, we've got to get him, and it actually caused a bit of friction and controversy early on, getting FormaL after the teams that he'd been on and the fact that he was team hopping all over the shop, but it was, well, quickly rather clear that he had the potential to be the best AR in the game, dominated the Jetpack era, finally got his World Championship in 2017, and after a difficult few years in the Call of Duty side, goes back to Halo and does it all over again. So crazy storyline, and of course, yeah, this is his career. His first Halo win was MLG Orlando 2011, so 11 years ago. We talked about Scump, right, how impressive it was. That Scump's first win, I think, also came in 2011, and his most recent one was here in 2022, like at OpTic's Major 1 back in March, I think, or whatever it was, start of that event. And of course, like, FormaL has a similar career now, where his wins span 11 years, or I guess 12 years of dominance, as Brian's stats here is saying. So crazy stuff. Obviously, a lot of reaction to this, right? Doug says FormaL won a COD World Championship in 2017, switched to Halo, won a Halo World Championship in 2022, living legend at FormaL, 2 World Championships over a 5-year period, and for some reason I've got the tweet up again here, but really there's only one other player that is in the ballpark of competing with this kind of dominance over multiple titles, and that's, well, Dashy's teammate Shotzzy. We'll see here in a second. But I think to a certain degree, FormaL considers Dashy his kind of protege to some extent, right? It was kind of clear that after kind of Dashy was going to become the main AR for the OpTic team, after, well, going into the Vanguard season, that FormaL's been helping Dashy a lot with his communication and other aspects of his game. I know that Dashy really appreciates that, right? And I'm sure FormaL thinks that, you know what, Dashy can be the next generation of OpTic AR players that can be dominant for a period of time. Hasn't really translated into championship victories yet for Dashy, but still, obviously they've got a great relationship going on there. And Dashy gave his thoughts on the victory last night and said, wow, like, incredible performance, straight up greatest of all time type performance there, compared him to LeBron as well. I don't know too much about the LeBron bubble victory. I'm sure you guys can debate in the comments whether it's a good comparison or not, but still, high praise for Matthew FormaL Piper.
Jordan win his last chip, you know what I'm saying? Not saying Matt's winning his last chip, you know what I mean? Like, it was like equivalent to some, there's some goated. We just witnessed it in real time. This is not your average. This is not your average. You're just your, you know what I'm saying? Like another Sunday ring, guys. This is Lakers LeBron bubble winning the chip.
Oh, he's farming bound right now.
Sometimes you need someone to step up, and FormaL said, I ain't here to lose this series. I want to gain a world championship.
What? That hit.
This guy's feeling it.
3 dead still for Cloud9 here. It's a trip cap, and let the points tick, tick, tick for the side of the green wall. They will continue scoring.
And I thought this is pretty funny as well, actually, here, as Hitch says. So they're on the flight home. The whole time we were in that crazy turbulence, I was low-key thinking if we go down right now, I go out a legend, FormaL. So yeah, pretty good stuff, I thought. Thankfully, they did arrive safely, as FormaL says, back in Dallas. What a year, man. Gotta appreciate the highs when you get him, all the support, all this type of stuff. And yeah, just to confirm, they did manage to get down. Not in the Dallas airport, though. They had to go to Tulsa instead, because there was some crazy weather stuff going on. But yeah, what do you guys think about this whole debate now? Has FormaL now put an end to this debate? Because I think from lots of people's perspective, in terms of look, greatest COD player of all time, it's Crimsix, it's Scump, it's you know, FormaL is kind of on the cusp, but you know, you've got Karma in the conversation, Clay's in the conversation. Those 5 names I think are top 5 for me, and FormaL is at, you know, maybe 4th or wherever you guys want to put him. In terms of that's just pure COD perspective. Now looking at the Halo perspective, like FormaL is obviously right up there now, especially getting the World Championship this season, and Shotzzy and FormaL the only 2 guys to have actually won a ring in both. Which, you know, which player in your opinion is therefore the greatest kind of controller or console, you could say, even though it's played on PC largely, FPS player of all time? Of course, look, you can consider the PC guys in terms of, you know, Simp and the like in other esports and the legends of other esports and stuff, but really getting into that debate, it's really too difficult to determine. But when you're considering kind of, you know, the greatest of all time in terms of Halo and Call of Duty, you've got Elgato, 40 championships, Crimsix, of course, 38 championships. There's other names as well that have done great things in Halo. But how does that compare? To me, to be able to do this in both games and be a world champion in both titles is just so absurdly impressive. And of course, Shotzzy accomplished it in 2018 and 2020. As I say, that the 2021 was online, so a little bit extra prestige, I think, for FormaL, added to the fact that FormaL now has 32 total championships. I think maybe 9 across Halo, 9 or 10 across Halo, and now like 20 odd in Call of Duty. Like, to me, it's really clear who the greatest of all time controller console player player now is. And yeah, maybe it wasn't FormaL before this, but now I think it certainly is after the success he's had here at the World Championship. I don't know how long this will continue, right? Because, I mean, look, they look like the dominant force this event. Next season starts relatively quickly, the Halo season, so why can't he continue to win plenty more events over there? I mean, it's not like his career necessarily is coming to an end soon, because he was playing like prime FormaL out there yesterday. Now, this was kind of funny, just on this whole topic of conversation. Crone pointed this out. I actually didn't find this until Crone tweeted it. So this guy on Esports Bets did a fantastic article on the top 15 players in Call of Duty history. This is an all-time list, and honestly, this is honestly impressive how like terrible this list is. So I've got to share it for you guys. Even as Marky B says, who's the right at? These are public shaming for this one. So this is the list for all you guys to see. Starting out with number 15, Dashy. Now, I mean, look, some of the guys that are on this list are obviously the correct players in relatively decent orders, but some of the players that are missing I just find pretty hilarious. So Dashy's 15th, and you can obviously debate Dashy, and like this one is just crazy to me. Pred, he's literally played one season. Yes, he won an event, but like how is Pred the 14th best player of all time in Call of Duty history? I find that kind of mind-blowing. This guy, the writer must have a soft spot here for Pred, because that's just crazy stuff. Like Attach gets 13th. I guess he's like not too far away from the cusp. Envoy is 12th, which is way too premature to put him up there. Octane 11th. Like Octane, in fairness, shouldn't be too far away from the top 10 conversation, but still, some of the names that he's above are absolutely mind-blowing. So Slasher gets in here at number 10. Like I always thought for quite some time Slasher and John were kind of the two candidates for number 10, but nowadays a lot of the Atlanta FaZe guys have probably eclipsed that to some degree, and we'll see that here in a second, in fairness. Clay is 9th, which is just like way underrated. Clay's three-time world champion finds himself down here in 9th, beyond, you know, even behind Kenny. Like, how is Kenny above Clay? Like, no disrespect to Kenny, but I mean, come on. Now, of course, the funniest thing about this, I'll share for you guys here in a second. You guys might already be figuring this out, but and then we just have all 4 of the Atlanta FaZe guys in a row: aBeZy, Cellium, Simp, and then Arcitys, all the way down to 4. So no effort required, just put them all in order. Fantastic stuff. And then Karma number 3, Crim number 2, and then Scump number 1. So the top 3, no real complaints there. The funny thing to me is some of the players that are missing from this list. As we, of course, have seen, there's no FormaL on this list. FormaL nowhere to be found. I guess 16th best player FormaL in Call of Duty history, right, according to this list. And even aBeZy, another, you know, 2-time world champion. aBeZy, to me, for a long time has been around about the 6th or 7th kind of best player of all time category. I think for a long time I'd put him 6th, really. Also, JCap has straight up got to be here, in my opinion, and he's also nowhere to be found. So, I mean, yeah, what a fantastic list, and Chrome was, of course, roasting it a bit. But yeah, Pred 14th, I don't really understand that one. No FormaL, no aBeZy, no JCap. I'm sure you guys can give your thoughts in the comment section below. But yeah, not the best all-time Call of Duty list that I've ever seen. But look, if you want to put together a list of all-time best FPS players, at least from a controller perspective, then, you know, obviously that's incredibly difficult to do either, but I think it's pretty clear that FormaL is now the number 1, and Dashy seems to agree. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.